What's up? What's up, guys? My name is Amanda and welcome back to my channel. I just have been thinking about how many people have been asking me about what my story is and how I got into med school. So I'm just going to take the next few minutes to tell you my entire story since I was a child all the way to getting into med school and how I did it. So when I was a kid, I really wanted to be a doctor. I was voted most likely to be a doctor in preschool. I don't know how they knew that was gonna happen, but I guess I used to have this play kit that my grandmother got me when I was a child, and it had like a play stethoscope in it. I actually might still have it. Let me see if I can find it. I was able to find it. This is my play doctor's kit. I walked around with it all the time when I was a child. You can tell it's very old. This was my stethoscope as a child. What else do we have in here? Oh, this is a blood pressure cuff. That's not what a blood pressure cuff looks like at all, but okay. And then, oh, I had a cast that says get well soon. Pair of scissors to perform surgery. Oh, and a thermometer, which would be very useful during COVID right now. They're sold out. But so when I was a kid, I told you I used to play with that kit all the time. And also my grandmother was a nuclear medicine technologist. She was a nuke med tech. She let me follow her around in the hospital on the weekends. It was a very rural hospital. Let me just like preface this, and this was also 20 years ago, like I was maybe 3 or 4. She would let me visit with all the kids that were there, and I got to hand them stuffed animals, play games with them, whatever, just anything to let them brighten up their day. And so that was how I first kind of got involved with medicine, was with my grandma, just rounding with her in the hospital, saying hi to the patients. And this was a very small hospital, like a 25-bed hospital, so everybody knew everybody, and it's like one of those things that would fly in a big hospital. This would never fly, especially today. Anyways, so that was my childhood, volunteering in the hospital, playing with kids, all that. Then when, I'm sorry if I'm looking down, it's just because I have a sheet that I wanted to talk to you all, like a list of things that I want to tell you about. After that, middle school went by, whatever, I was still doing some kind of volunteering. Then when I got into high school, I actually went to a program called the Health Sciences Academy, which is just a high school tech program or a vocational school. And what it did was it allowed me to get 17 college credits. Just really just throws you into healthcare to see if you even like it, if it's for you, if you can handle trying to study. And this happens your junior and senior year, and it was half the day. So in the morning I would go to regular high school, and then I would be bussed off to this academy, and I would study anatomy and physiology, human growth and development, nutrition, and medical terminology. And with that, we also were set up in a shadowing program, so we got to shadow local physicians in our area. And it just let us kind of get a feel for healthcare and see if it was something that we really liked or if it was something that we didn't like. I'd pretty much fallen in love at that point. I knew that I wanted to be something in healthcare. I didn't know if I wanted to be a nurse, doctor, PA at that point. I just was like, okay, I know I want to be able to help people feel the best that they possibly can. After that, I went on to college, and I went to the University of Vermont, which is also where I'll be attending med school, so I didn't go very far. In college, I was a biochemistry major. What that allowed me to do was all of my classes that I took that were required for my major actually counted for the requirements and the prerequisites needed for med school, which was extremely beneficial because I had friends who were English majors who were trying to be pre-med. I had friends who were like engineering majors who were pre-med. It just kind of streamlined all my classes so that I knew I was checking all the boxes in both requirements, both to get into med school and to graduate. Whereas my other friends who weren't a biochem or a biochem major, they really had to organize their schedule a lot into like how they were gonna meet the requirements for their major and to get into med school. When I was in college, I obviously was immersed in sciences, but also when I was in college, I did a lot of volunteering. So there's this program that UVM had, which was called the Dewey Collective for Civic Engagement. They might have even changed the name since I was a part of it, which was literally 2 years ago. But basically, it's a program that focuses on getting kids who are in Vermont at UVM involved in the community. So it's all about community service, which is a huge part of becoming a pre-med applicant. They stress community service so much, and it's probably something that's the most underrated, undervalued thing, I would say, in my opinion, because almost like the heart of all physicians, you are serving your community. The people that you are taking care of are the people that you may see at the grocery store, or are the people who may be teaching your children, etc. So by making them as healthy as possible, you are making your community a healthier, better place. And there's so much need in the community that whatever you do is going to be beneficial. I like the idea of the fact that one small action can lead to a ripple effect. So whether that be one pebble in the ocean leads to a tsunami, like one of anything, one little thing does make a difference. And I think that's really undervalued in our society today. So like simply telling someone to have a nice day, like literally writing them a little note, that goes a long way. Sorry, got completely off topic there. Anyways, so yeah, I got involved in a lot of community service in college. Then I also did this program called PEP. PEP is the Pre-Med Enhancement Program. So you actually have to apply to it. They only take 10 people per year. You apply after your freshman year of college, and these 10 students are set up with a physician mentor every year, and then they're also set up with a med school mentor. So I was paired up with, he's a dear friend, his name is Nick. He just got matched to urology. Basically, he was just there to tell me like what med school is about, what their class schedule is like, what he likes, what he would do differently, just little tips and tricks that I never would have thought even mattered. With PEP, that lets you shadow a physician every single year in college. So my sophomore, junior, senior, so year 2, year 3, year 4, I was set up with a physician mentor, and I had to shadow, I forget how many hours, I think it was like 40 hours, I want to say. But anyways, you had to shadow that physician at their practice, and there was one general practice, there was one surgeon, and then one specialty. So I shadowed a breast cancer surgeon. That was phenomenal. Then I shadowed a GP, but she wasn't really a GP. She was actually an internist in the hospital. So an internist is an internal medicine doctor. And I got to shadow her for a year, and I actually shadowed her more for like a year and a half. I kind of kept shadowing her into the next year because I just loved it so much. Then I also shadowed a migraine specialist. So she was a neurologist who specializes in migraines, and the brain is extremely complex. So I was able to shadow a bunch. On top of it, while I was in college, I shadowed elsewhere. In my freshman year of college, I did not want to be a doctor. Oh my god. I walked into freshman year of chemistry, and it was chemistry for majors because I was a biochem major, which means that it's like a little bit harder. They were talking about molar conversions as review, and I came from a high school that didn't exactly have the best reputation, so I didn't exactly have the best education. I had no clue what they were talking about. Like, when I walked in the room, tuned the entire professor out, ran to my advisor and started bawling and was like, nope, no more biochem major for me, no way. I don't know chemistry, I don't know biology. I kind of know biology, but like I do not know enough to do well enough to get into med school. This is it, my med school dream, done. I want to be a nurse. And the reason why I want to be a nurse is because they didn't require as high of a level as chemistry and biology, but they did take chemistry and biology. They're just more of like an overarching thing, because in nursing you need to know a lot at a surface level, whereas I feel like in med school you need to know a lot but at a very small scale. So you like pick one thing and then that's what you focus on, whereas in nursing you have to understand a ton of stuff at the surface level, whereas like med school you're waist deep, knee deep in the information. Anyways, so I thought I wanted to be a nurse. I was going to transfer to nursing school because I had all the credits from that high school program that I did to be on track with a second year nurse. And I was going to transfer to nursing school. I got approved and I got my LNA. Some people call it a CNA, LNA. It's either a certified nurse assistant or a licensed nurse assistant. What that means is you basically do vitals, you change patients, you help them with their ADLs, which is activities of daily living. So whether that be brushing their teeth, getting changed, going to the bathroom, all that stuff, cooking, cleaning. There are tons of different roles an LNA or a CNA can fill. But I became an LNA and I was like, you know what, this is it. I want to be a nurse, so I want to figure out what a nurse does. I'm going to be an LNA. So I worked as an LNA. I still am working as an LNA. I started to see what nurses go through and I was like, I don't know if I want to be a nurse. Then my sophomore year rolled around and I took a pharmacology class and I became obsessed with drugs because in pharmacology they use a lot of biochemistry. That's when I decided I wanted to be a pharmacology minor and I was like, wow, this is insane. Like, I absolutely love this. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I don't want to be a doctor. Maybe I want to go to pharmacy school. So I started looking at like 3+3 programs where I could transfer out of college and go to pharmacy school. But I was like, you know what? I really want to get my feet wet before I start delving into this. So I got my pharmacy technician license and then I realized how painful insurance companies are and how insane drug markups are and just like the corruption within big pharma. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to deal with insurance companies all day, nor do I feel like telling someone who needs this life-saving medication that they have to pay $700 for it. Then in my junior year of college, spring semester, I was like, you know what, like maybe I don't want to be a pharmacologist. I don't want to be a nurse. Med school still sounded great, but what about like PA? What about NP, all this stuff. So I was like, how on earth am I going to get my feet wet in this stuff? Because I'm a firm believer in like trying something before you commit to it because it's hundreds of thousands of dollars and I don't have the time or that kind of money to waste. So I decided to become a medical scribe. I was in the emergency room and I scribed through Scribe America. It's a third-party company that most hospitals will contract out of. They don't pay that well, like at all, but the experience, priceless. Like, if they paid me more now, I would 100% go back and be a scribe. I don't think I ever learned as much about medicine that I did as being a scribe, because as a scribe, you, at least in our hospital, I don't know how scribes work elsewhere, you are literally writing medical charts for the doctors. So the doctors are seeing their patients and you are literally running behind them, typing their notes up for them. And then they obviously have to go through it, tell you what to add, subtract, tell you what they like, they give you feedback, and you essentially kind of get to, like, I don't want to say like play doctor, but kind of in a way you get to play doctor in the sense that you get to see a patient who comes in with a symptom and then you get to see how the doctor literally goes through their entire process, like what labs they order, what imaging studies they order, just any type of test that they order, and to see how a physician does that and to understand why they're ordering different tests was completely life-changing. And I realized, you know what, like, this is insane. I want to be a doctor. Like that was kind of the like telltale, like, I know this is what I need to be doing. Because every time I walked into the hospital and I like would go on for a scribe shift, everything felt like it clicked. You know when you smell like a candle or something that reminds you of your grandma, or you like smell something that makes you feel at home? That's literally how I get when I'm in a hospital. Like, as soon as I smell like the bleachy hospital air, I'm like, oh, like this is home. This is where I belong. And obviously it might not be for everybody, that's fine, but like that's how I know that I'm on the right path for what I'm doing. So that's what I did in college. Was I was an LNA, I was in a pharmacy tech, I was an ED scribe, I volunteered a ton, and then on top of that I did research. I did structural biochemistry, which is essentially protein crystallography. I didn't really do X-ray crystallography myself. I did more like the prep work behind the scenes, just helping the grad students get their stuff ready, which is what a lot of undergrads do. Some undergrads create their own thesis and their own projects, but I didn't really have that time because I studied abroad in college. And then my senior year of college, I applied. Anyways, I applied in July of 2019. I only applied to 10 schools, so that's kind of small. Most med school applicants will apply to 12 to 20. I only applied to 10. And I only applied to 10 that like really resonated with me and what I wanted my mission to be as a physician. So I really want to work in rural medicine, so I decided to only focus on schools that had rural medicine and rural education as a part of their mission statement. Heard back in like September-ish, August, September 2019, interviewed in November of 2019 for 2 of the schools, Larner College of Medicine, which is the one I'll be attending, and then Michigan State, which I wish I was going to Michigan State, but it's just $500,000 and Larner's like $200,000, so I can't I can't justify spending $300,000 more on my education. I just can't. So yeah, that's where I am. That's how I got into med school. If you have any questions about like specifics, any things that you want me to go over, please drop them below. I would love to answer your questions. That's literally what this whole channel is for. I will probably start a series about going over like what you should focus on in high school, what should be your goals freshman year, sophomore year, senior year, junior year. That's to come. So keep watching, subscribe, and also just anything that you do want to see, please let me know. Help me help you. Help me help you. Help me help you. Okay? Okay, great.